Every dinosaur in Dinosaur King has an element. But have you ever thought, why does every dinosaur in Dinosaur King have an element? What does a Triceratops have to do with lightning? And why does a T-Rex breathe fire? Why can a Carnotaurus casually summon natural disasters? Well, in today's video, I'll be explaining, or attempting to explain, the reasoning behind every family of dinosaurs and their given element.
Water.
Starting with the most obvious, we have the Spinosaurids. Oh boy, I wonder why groups of animals speculated to spend most of their lives near water have the water element. On a more serious note, Spinosaurus' relation to water has actually been a topic of debate recently. Paleontologists still debate whether Spinosaurus can swim, or even exist. Baryonyx and Suchomimus, the superior Spinosaurids' swimming capabilities have also been debated.
In 2022, a study was conducted on the bone density of the three aforementioned Spinosaurs. It appeared that Suchomimus' bones weren't all that dense, not unlike more terrestrial theropods. This was likely an adaptation for a more wading bird fishing style, which is ironic since Suchomimus means crocodile mimic. Baryonyx, often wrongfully called the smaller Suchomimus, had more dense bones, an adaptation seen in diving birds. This meant that Barry was diving in the water more than Sucho would. And Spinosaurus was Spinosaur. Spite. Spit. Hey. Yeah, I really don't want to get into Spinosaurus right now. The thing's a mess right now. We don't even know what a Spinosaurus is. And we probably won't since the specimen was destroyed in World War II. Anyway, before we move on, I just want to say Suchomimus still theoretically could swim and dive, but just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And to clarify, what I said was a huge oversimplification of the study, and a link to the paper is in the description if you're interested. So yeah, they're watertight because they like the word moist.
The second group of dinosaurs to receive the water element are the sauropods.
When you think of sauropods, water probably isn't the first thing to come to mind. Perhaps Earth, as they're so big, when they walk they could shake the Earth. Or maybe lightning as an homage to the Brontosaurus, which means thunder lizard if you didn't know.
Perhaps they're given the water element because their long necks look like hoses you might water your garden with. Their necks are also similar to that of plesiosaurs or even some turtles, which typically inhabit the water. Though those could still very much be the reasoning behind the sauropods being the water element, my personal theory is that because of how sauropods were depicted in retro paleo art. You see, back in the early days of paleontology, back when the study hadn't even hit puberty, most paleontologists believed that our long-necked friends were simply too heavy to have supported their weight on land, so they hypothesized sauropods must have been semi-aquatic, hippo-like animals that walked across the bottom of rivers as to not be crushed by their own weight. Their long necks not so much being an adaptation to reach leaves from trees, but more as a snorkel to allow the animal to breathe in deeper waters. Of course, we now know this isn't true. Sauropods were equipped with hollow bones and air sacs all around their bodies. This is also present in modern birds, and it is a common misconception that birds evolved this to make themselves lighter in order to fly, when in actuality it's their non-avian ancestors who evolved them for this reason first. Birds kept this trait to extract more oxygen while in flight, since flying would be an extremely exhausting method of locomotion otherwise. Going back to Dinosaur King, the connection between water and sauropods is honestly a really cool homage to our old view of dinosaurs, and shows how much our understanding has changed over the 200 years we've known about them.
Earth.
Thyreophorians include the Stegosaurus and the Ankylosaurs. In Dinosaur King, they're given the Earth element, which is another obvious one to me at least. Ankylosaurians have very tough armor known as osteoderms, which translates to bone skin, because that's what they literally are. Borealopelta, the most well-preserved dinosaur ever, just so happens to belong to this group. Too bad it isn't in Dinosaur King. A recent study shows that the keratin covering the animal's osteoderms was able to absorb the impact of a car driving 30 miles per hour into its hide. This is likely an adaptation for intraspecific combat, but also more famously for defense against predators. Because, well, ever tried biting a rock? Yeah, it's not very fun. Wait, rock, earth, rock, earth. Okay, see, I see what they did there. Speaking of rocks, many dinosaurs extinct and extant use special stones known as gastroliths to grind their food for them to make up for the lack of their ability to chew. So what about stegosaurids? Unlike Ankies, their osteoderm plates weren't really used for defense, instead for display. Their plates kind of resemble stalagmites, which are those spikes on the bottom of the caves.
not to be confused with stalactites, which are on the top. A cool way to remember which is that stalactites have a C in it for ceiling, and that stalagmites have a G for ground. Learned that one from Dinosaur Train. Thanks, Gilbert.
So to summarize, Ankies are earth element because their osteoderms are as tough as rocks, and stegosaurs are there because they're cousins.
Hey, so this is the part of the video where I advertise my Discord server. We got a bunch of rules that ensure a safe and healthy community, or whatever. We also do monthly art challenges. Well, not monthly, but, themed based on months. And you can participate in them. You can also talk to me there if you want. I'm pretty active there. Don't be intimidated. I'm a silly guy who makes dinosaur videos on YouTube. That's literally the most least threatening thing ever. I did not plant a grenade in your pillow tonight. Let's go on to the fire dinosaurs.
Fire.
Dinosaurs are one of the closest things the world has ever gotten to a traditional dragon. Though nowadays dragons can look like pretty much anything and blast any element, dragons traditionally breathe fire. So why is the fire element exclusive to large carnivores? Fire is often seen as the coolest, most awesome, destructive element, similar to how theropod dinosaurs are often awesome broed. Awesome bro is an old paleo community term which describes the design of a prehistoric animal with wild, often improbable speculative features or behaviors. A prime example being the Indominus Rex, with her long claws, protruding teeth, and tendency to murder anything just because. She's an awesome bro incarnate, and would definitely set the whole park ablaze if she could. When people see carnivorous animals, they often associate them with aggression and violence, two words one might use to describe a raging fire. Now something that's always confused me is how tyrannosaurs are an all fire element regardless of their size. Allosaurus and Afrovenator are wind element despite their larger relatives being the fire element. Even Alioramus, a dinosaur smaller than Allosaurus, receives the fire element. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't think there's any good reason why only Tyrannosaurs are fire elements. It can probably be narrowed down to fire-breathing T-Rex look cool. And honestly, I respect them for that. Because Terry is the GOAT!
Ride like the wind, bullseye!
The wind element is home to the Dromaeosaurids, Abelisaurids, Allosaurids, Megaraptorids, and Megalosaurids. Wind is often associated with speed, and Abelisaurs are some of the fastest dinosaurs. Carnotaurus is famous for its speed that matched that of a grizzly bear at around 36 miles per hour. While Dromaeosaurs were by no means slow animals, they likely weren't as fast as many assume. According to one study, Velociraptor was able to reach speeds of 25 miles per hour in short bursts, slower than the Carnotaurus. Despite this, the media often depicts raptors as extremely fast, hence their placement in the wind element. Dromaeosaurids also had feathers, and feather equal bird, and birds fly in the wind, so you can make that connection if you really wanted to. Fun fact, at the time of the anime, trading cards, and arcade game, Megaraptor was thought to be a true Dromaeosaur, hence the feathers and sickle claw present in its design. Upon its initial discovery, Megaraptor was placed into almost every theropod family you could think of before 2010, where paleontologists finally said F it and put Megaraptors into their own classification, today known as the Megaraptorans. Even with their own classification, their place on the theropod family tree is still up for debate.
As previously mentioned, Megalosaurs and Allosaurs are split into two elements.
The reason is, you guessed it, speed. Smaller animals are usually faster than larger animals since they have less weight to carry around. So it makes total sense why Majungasaurus is wind element while the larger Rajasaurus is the fire element. So to summarize, you're sure to win if your speed is superior. Get it? Okay, I think I'm just gonna end this video here. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make a part 2 if this does well. But there's just some things that I like to focus on a little bit more. Back several years, I was in a very famous YouTube show. I'm incognito, don't act like you don't know. And I'm trying to hold on to the past. It's been so long, I don't think I'm gonna last. I guess I'll just try and make you understand that I'm more pride than I be, or I'm more I be than I'm proud. Incog! Yeah, let's never do that again.